Welcome back, Focus Learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we're diving into a masterclass on something I know almost all of us struggle with, and that's taking control of those massive, seemingly impossible reading workloads. You know the feeling, right? Whether you're navigating dense academic textbooks, sifting through endless professional reports, or honestly just trying to stay informed, the sheer volume of information out there is just staggering. But today, we're going to change exactly how you approach it. We are focusing specifically on Lesson 31 from our source material, Skimming and Scanning. Okay, let's dive right in with a question that might make you a little uncomfortable. When you open a new document, an article, or a chapter, do you read every single word? Be honest with me here. Are you going from the very first "the" at the top left all the way down to the final period on the very last page, treating it like it's some gripping murder mystery? Well, if you do, you're definitely not alone. But you're also probably experiencing a massive amount of academic and professional reading fatigue. The truth is, approaching advanced text the exact same way we read a novel is a surefire recipe for exhaustion. So here is our playbook for today. 1. The read every word myth. 2. Skimming for the overview. 3. Scanning for specific data. 4. Applying the right strategy. And 5. Reading smarter, not harder. Let's get to it. Section 1. The read every word myth. Challenging old habits. Think about how we were all taught to read back in childhood. It was left to right, line by line, sounding out every single syllable, right? Because of that, it's a deeply ingrained myth that to completely understand a text, you must still read every single word. Well, our academic sources actively debunk this. In advanced academic and professional settings, trying to read every word of every document you encounter is just an inefficient trap. The sources point out that understanding complex concepts and extracting the necessary info absolutely does not require you to consume every single conjunction, adjective, and preposition in a straight line. The source material on academic reading brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Take a look at the 3 different strategies outlined here. Option A is that traditional left-to-right, line-by-line approach we're all used to. But notice options B and C. They represent jumping around, zigzagging, and targeting specific areas. Efficient readers don't just lock into one method. They actively choose between these different strategies depending on their specific goals for that text. And that brings us perfectly to our first major alternative strategy. Section 2. Skimming for the overview, the drone view. Our source material defines skimming very clearly. It is reading quickly for the general meaning or the gist of a text. I want you to imagine sending a drone up over a dense forest. You aren't looking at the individual leaves or the bark on the trees, are you? No, you're looking at the shape of the landscape. You're looking at where the river cuts through, where the mountains rise up. That is skimming. It is incredibly useful when you have a massive amount of text and you just need to survey the landscape without getting bogged down in the weeds. So how exactly do we execute this? Well, our academic texts give us a very precise step-by-step playbook. When you approach a new text, whatever you do, don't just start at paragraph 1. Step 1, read the titles and the headings. These are your road signs. Step 2, look for words in bold or italics. Authors use these to basically scream, hey, this is a key concept. And step 3, which is, frankly, an absolute game changer, read the paragraph topic sentences. It's usually the first sentence of a paragraph and it holds the core argument, while the rest of the paragraph is just supporting evidence and examples. By reading just these key elements, you can rapidly extract the core narrative of pretty much any document. The crucial point here is captured perfectly in this quote from the textbook. Often the most important thing is to be able to recognize the information which is most useful to you. I absolutely love this because it shifts our whole mindset. Efficient reading is not about passive consumption, where you just sort of sit back and let the words wash over you. It is an active search and recognize mission. You are in charge.
Section 3. Scanning for specific data. The laser pointer.
Now, if skimming is the drone view, scanning is your laser pointer. The academic definition of scanning is reading quickly to find specific information, key data points, or details. You pull out this technique when you already know exactly what fact, number, date, or technical term you are hunting for. You aren't trying to understand the author's overarching philosophy here. You just need to know what percentage of the population was affected or exactly what year the study was published. Your eyes are literally just darting across the page, hunting for the specific visual shape of that word or number. Let's compare them side by side really quick just to make sure we have this locked in. Skimming is for the general overview. You use it on large texts when you just need to get the gist of what's going on. Scanning, on the other hand, is for specific details. It's a highly targeted search where you are actively ignoring unrelated text. Think of it like this. With skimming, you might read 20% of the text to understand 80% of the meaning. But with scanning, you might only read 1% of the text because you're just grabbing one specific data point and getting out of there.
Section 4. Applying the right strategy, the tactical playbook.
This scenario map breaks down exactly which play to call based on the material sitting in front of you. Say you have an abstract of a journal article or maybe a newspaper piece. Your strategy? Skimming. Why? Because your only purpose right now is to decide if it's actually relevant and worth your time. Now, what if you're looking at a subject-specific dictionary or an index? You scan. You're looking for an exact definition. You obviously aren't going to read the dictionary cover to cover. And for textbooks, well, you use both. You skim first to gain an overview of how the chapter is organized, and then you scan later to find specific facts or definitions for your notes.
And for the record, these strategies are not cheating. Take a look at this table of contents from a high-level English for academic purposes coursebook. Things like gaining an overview of an academic text and identifying topics and main ideas are literal formal units of study. Skimming and scanning are required academic skills. They are taught at the highest levels of education, specifically to help students survive the massive influx of information they have to process.
So, synthesizing the insider secrets of efficient readers that we've pulled directly from the literature. First, they jump around the text. Second, they do not always start at the beginning. Third, and this is perhaps the single most vital piece of advice, they identify their reading purpose first. You have to know what you actually want before you start reading. And finally, they stop reading when the target is found. They do not just keep reading for the sake of finishing the page.
Section 5. Reading smarter, not harder. The final takeaway.
Ultimately, the real goal here isn't just to cut corners. It's to save your incredibly valuable time while actually increasing your attention of what truly matters. Our sources are super clear on this final takeaway. You must learn to process information quickly. Now, this doesn't mean you're never going to read deeply again. The key is that you read word by word in what's known as close reading, only for the careful examination of specific, highly relevant passages. You use your drone view to find the right forest, you use your laser pointer to find the right tree, and then, and only then, do you stop to closely examine the bark. You're saving your mental energy for the paragraphs that actually deserve it. I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Think about your workload today. Which strategy are you going to use on the very next document you open? Are you going to default to that exhausting line-by-line reading? Or are you going to deploy the drone and the laser pointer? Identify your purpose, pick your strategy, and finally take control of your reading. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope you found this empowering, and I will see you next time.